Mechanized Cacophony is a net art web experience that Anna and I created during COVID-19. We officially started our collaboration with Ars Electronica and the Edinburgh Futures Institute, actually as the shutdowns were rolling out across Europe. And Anna and I have been friends and fans of each other's work for a really long time. I distinctly remember the first time I met Anna in 2017 at a workshop. And we have always just wanted to work together. And then during the shutdown, we wanted to think of some kind of experience that was sort of resonating with our own emotional experiences we were having during COVID. And that was sort of the, I guess the genesis of the project.
Yeah, because this project is feeding in, is an experiment that is feeding into a wider body of work that we were unable to make because of COVID. Both of our practices with machine learning involves creating our own data sets from the ground up. So going and photographing, documenting, finding all of the data that we then use to build a model from. And because of the nature of the lockdowns of kind of COVID, we weren't able to travel, we weren't able to kind of go to places to find the types of data that we were going to use for this particular project. So we were really forced into thinking about what do we have on hand, what can we use that is nearby, what can we go to in an area that is kind of close to where we're living, and use that as ways of kind of gathering information opposed to doing what we were planning to do in the project, which was to travel really broadly to find certain types of objects. So this piece really isn't exploring the kind of process of AI as our other works do. This process is really kind of trying to think about the different ways that kind of like online, offline experiences come together. So although we have used a GAN, we're not being that explicit about the GAN, I think.
Part of this was, I think, pulling from our own experiences with varying levels of grief that are naturally occurring during COVID-19. Some of it, for me, I've been thinking a lot about this term called climate grief and eco-trauma, of what it sort of what does it mean to exist during an era of climate change? How does that affect your plans and responses to the future? Then on top of that, the sort of global trauma of something like COVID-19. And then we had our own personal experiences with grief during this time. And for me, and I think for us, and Anna will add her answer, it was also sort of thinking about what can we touch and not touch? What does it mean to sort of be contained without being able to interact with nature, but being able to see and experience nature from far away? So only being able to kind of stay in our own neighborhoods or in our own cities, and like the active movement being really restricted, of sort of, I think, an awareness of how much industrialization impedes upon nature as we are exploring and interacting in our own cities, and then really missing sort of calming aspects of nature, like trees, the sea, water, being able to be in open spaces that were not easily attainable to us during COVID.
And just to kind of like carry on from what Caroline was saying about climate grief, a large kind of interest for us at the moment is exploring this relationship between energy usage, machine learning, and the environment. Because in many ways, like every time you're kind of training a GAN, you're using an incredible amount of energy to produce essentially what is an imperfect simulacra of the world. And so there's this real tension, I think, when using this kind of technology, which I don't think I've reconciled in myself, about using them to produce these kind of imperfect versions of nature, while at the same time using up kind of like the resources of nature to do so.
I hope people sit with it in a slow way. I think with a lot of art or experience, or just experiences in general in the current time period we're in, things can feel disposable or short, or you have to immediately get it. There's an immediacy to media right now. And for us, this experience, we want it to just be playing in the background. We want people to just sort of sit and have maybe a more meditative experience with it.
Yeah, and to kind of continue what we were saying about how this is a piece for the internet, kind of playing off the way that there is so much information overload on the internet. Like, you know, things are constantly updating, you're getting pop-ups, you're getting kind of requests for information all the time. So for us, it was really important to kind of build a space which can kind of be this almost portal into something a bit more soothing and reminding of kind of like this other place.
The interactivity is something that is minimal, but at times also integral. And so for us, we wanted something that felt small and intimate, but also people would notice a change in. And so the tapping and like the clicking and the touching is a very intentional choice, so that there is some kind of interaction, but that there's also some agency. And then so when you also use or interact with the experience on different sides devices, there are different videos that start to play. So for us, we wanted things to feel, I think, happenstantial and also intentional in these small and sort of beautiful ways.